Welcome to the channel and welcome to today's run through of all the latest Manchester United news and transfer updates, keeping you right up to date with everything. I'm Jamie. Before we get into it, smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Let's jump straight into it. So let's kick off with Richard Rios. So AS Roma are keen to sign Richard Rios from Palmeiras, but they face strong competition from United. United are looking to sign Rios due to Casemiro's inconsistent performances. United have swooped in on the player in the last few hours. Now, that came from the Gazzetta in Italy, suggesting that Manchester United are looking to hijack the move for Richard Rios to Roma and have swooped in on the player in the last few hours. Now, that came out yesterday. In the report, it says that Manchester United have made a move for Richard Rios in the past few hours. Roma recently submitted a £22 million bid, but Palmeiras are holding out for £26 million. Now, there's not been any further reports, so I've not heard anything from like the British side. So Italian media suggesting that maybe United are looking to swoop in and do a transfer hijack or a deal hijack for Richard Rios, who is, by all accounts, looking to go to, or Roma are looking to sign the player. Feels a little bit like maybe United's name are being linked as making a move as a way to get more money out of Roma. That was my initial thoughts when reading the report, because normally when you just hear stories from one side, it feels a little bit like United are just getting used to generate more money or get interest on a player. AS Colombia are saying that Manchester United have been scouting players in Club World Cup, and Richard Rios has been scouted heavily from them. It will be interesting to see if they follow up on their interest with an official proposal now. So Richard Rios is a name that's coming up quite often in the rumour mill regarding United. I like him. I think he looks like a really good player to bring in the midfield. I wouldn't be against doing it. Relatively cheap as well. 25 years old. Really elite injury record. He's missed one game in his entire career through injuries. So if you want someone that's a safe bet in terms of injuries, not a bad shout. Very good eye-catching stats for a midfielder as well. I like the idea of Rios. I think he'd be a good midfielder to bring in. Relatively cheap as well, 22 to 26 million pounds going off of those reports. I just get the feeling that maybe we're being a bit used for the deal, though, and I would want to see a bit more credibility to get too excited regarding it. I do think he is a fan sign-in from most of you in the comments and what I read online. I think most United fans actually think that this would be a good player to bring in the midfield, and I would agree with that as well. I do like him, but I get the feeling that we're being a little bit used towards the deal, but we'll have to wait and see. Maybe we could swoop in and hijack that deal, but we'd have to do something quick because Roma are obviously in negotiations and in a position where they're making bids. You know, this is what other teams would do: wait for a club to negotiate transfer fees with a club and then go in, swoop in, outbid them slightly, and then get a deal done relatively quick and efficiently. Are United quick and efficient in the transfer market, though? I think evidence suggests this transfer window not, but we'll wait and see what happens, and I will bring you any updates. But give us your thoughts. Richard Rios in the comments, what you're thinking. Do you think, good move, bad move? Do you think it's possible, not possible? Give us your thoughts and opinions on that in the comments, because I'll be interested to read those later. Now, obviously, the main player, or the reason why we're not making any other moves, is because we are all in on Bryan Mbeumo. So what's the latest there? Sky Sports said that Manchester United are expected to submit an improved offer for Bryan Mbeumo soon, possibly this week. Well, it's thought the deal will come down to the structure and conditions, as United's last offer was not far away in terms of total fee. And then Pete Hall said that one move that meant that United do expect to complete before they fly to America is the purchase of Bryan Mbeumo. One that is not depending on outgoings. Now, that's interesting, suggesting that actually, and that's technically true, because I was thinking about this last night. We've made a bid so we've clearly got the money for Mbeumo, because if Brentford had accepted our second offer, he would be a United player right now. So we have the funds regardless of exit. So I don't think it's the exits that are holding up this deal. It's just penny pinching for the add-ons. That seems to be, it's either penny pinching for the add-ons or Brentford moving the goalpost and asking for more money. That can only be those. We've got the cash because we've made two offers and we've offered 55 plus 7.5 million, and had Brentford said yes, he would be a United player now. So it can't be anything to do with waiting for exits, because why would we make a bid before any exits are done anyway? So it's got to be one of those two things. We're either penny pitching about the structure of the 7.5 add-ons, or Brentford are moving the goalposts and asking for more money. But we'll have to wait and see. Talks will continue this week, with United confident the deal can be agreed. Brentford have rejected 2 bids so far, but the clubs are not too far apart in valuation. So we'll have to wait and see. Like, I'm getting... I was speaking to my dad last night, and he was like, any more news on Mbeumo? Because I'm sick of hearing you talk about it. And I was like, I'm sick of talking about it as well. I know from your comments you're sick of hearing about it as well. We just need to get this deal done, or let's just move on with our lives. If you can't get a deal done, we're, sat around twiddling our thumbs trying to get this deal done and not doing anything else. It's just really frustrating, the Mbeumo news at the moment. But hopefully we can get something potentially this week. But then we've heard that for the last 4 weeks since we last made. How long's it been since we made the second bid? It's been like 2 weeks now, maybe 3. Who knows? Time's merging together, and it feels like it's going on in eternity. That's the reality. But give us your thoughts on that in the comments below. Now, let's move on to the striker news. So, Moise Kean has rejected an approach from the Saudi Pro League. Fiorentina have now begun negotiations on a contract renewal and salary increase. So that came from Dimarcio. The reason I'm bringing that in is because Moise Kean is one of the strikers that we're heavily linked with. I would put him, Watkins, maybe Nicholas Jackson. I'm going to say that quietly, based on the comments from yesterday's video, potentially as the striker options, because obviously Gyökeres is pretty much done, or close to a here we go to Arsenal. That deal's moved along. David Ornstein, Romano, everyone reporting that that's very close to being completed at the time of recording this video. Obviously, Osimhen, we're not going for Osimhen. He's looking like he's going to Galatasaray. Moise Kean might be staying at Fiorentina. This is why we need to get a shift on with the Mbeumo deal, because we're losing out on potentially other deals, because we are literally doing whatever we're doing with the add-ons for that deal. But it is what it is. I'm not necessarily devastated, though, if Moise Kean stays at Fiorentina, though, being completely realistic about the deal. But it's still an option. It's still somebody that potentially could come in and do a job, or is a striker target. So, but yeah, we'll have to see. That could be agent talk, though, as well. But we'll wait and see, because Dimarcio's been a little bit hitty-missy recently. But we'll keep an eye on that one. Now, this was an interesting update. So, according to Portuguese outlet Ebola, Porto are considering selling Aguihawa after just 1 season. The 21-year-old signed for Premier League outfit in a permanent move from Atletico Madrid last summer. It's added that Villa have expressed an interest in signing Aguihawa and have identified the Spaniard as a possible replacement for Watkins. Porto value the Malayan-born Aguihawa at £69 million. Should Villa opt to sign Aguihawa, Watkins could therefore be allowed to leave, opening up a potential move to United. Now, that came from the Manchester Evening News, obviously reporting on a story from Ebola suggesting that Aston Villa might be interested in Aguihawa. Porto might be up for selling him for £69 million. I mean, that would be a decent shout as well. Aguihawa is a player that we've been linked with a few times, but seems like we're going down the more Premier League proven route. And then if they do go for Aguihawa, then potentially that means that we could then swoop in and go for Ollie Watkins, possibly. I think Watkins is it's definitely a name to pay attention to in terms of striker options, because it does appear like he is potentially going to be leaving Aston Villa as well. For me, I like Watkins. I like the idea of Watkins for the right price and the right wages, though, because I get what you're saying in the comments around his age and bits like that as well. But, Premier League proven, right age, right wages as well. I don't see an issue with it personally. I mean, he's on currently £130,000 a week, according to Capology. So, it's not going to be, as long as you're not giving a 300 grand a week contract like we did with Casemiro. For me, I like the idea of bringing in Watkins. So that would be interesting. Some of you might say we should be going for Aguihawa, but I don't know if we've got the funds available, £69 million, or whether we want to pay that amount on a gamble, a young striker coming in, because we've been down that road before as well. But yeah, we'll wait and see. It's a potential, could be potentially something plausible, because if Villa are looking to bring in a striker, then, that does open the door for Watkins coming to us. But we'll have to pay attention to it, and I'll bring you any updates when they come out. Give us your thoughts on that in the comments. Now, what are the other options? Could be Ekitike. So Manchester United and Newcastle remain the most active clubs in the Hugo Ekitike deal. I would argue to say we're not very active at the moment, so I would debunk that story straight away, saying no, don't think we're being very active in any deal at the moment, apart from Mbeumo, because active, I wouldn't say Man United are active at the moment. That wouldn't be my choice of words to describe what's going on at the club at this moment in time, but he is a player that we're linked with. Unless his price drops, though, they're asking for £85 million, and we're not going to go anywhere near that deal for £85 million. But, we'll keep an eye on that one as well for you. Now, let's go through. Now, this was interesting. So, Al Hilal may turn to attacking options at Manchester United. Now, that came from who I believe, I don't know the credibility personally, that's meant to be quite a reliable journalist when it comes to Saudi Arabian news, suggesting that Al Hilal may turn to attacking options at Manchester United, which would be, great. But the problem is we've got players that probably don't want to go to the Saudi Pro League as well. Obviously, there was a story yesterday regarding Garnacho potentially rejecting a bid and a move to Saudi. I don't blame Garnacho for doing that. I don't think at his age that's the right career move for him. Interestingly, though, Mundo Deportivo was saying that Marcus Rashford has rejected the idea of a move to Saudi Arabia after a €40 million bid was made. He is giving his priority to Barcelona, so there could be some Saudi interest in some of our attackers. The problem is our attackers don't want to go. They're above going to Saudi Arabia, and it is what it is. They don't seem to want to make that move, which is, it's fair enough as their career. They can obviously have an input on which clubs they want to go to, but yeah, it doesn't look like, if Garnacho and Rashford have both rejected bids to Saudi, who else could they be going for? Antony. But again, would Antony want to go to Saudi? Sancho, would he want to go to Saudi? We'll have to wait and see what happens. On Garnacho, talks have been held between Manchester United and Napoli for Garnacho, but there remains a gap in valuation. The Argentine has been told he does not have to report back for pre-season training and give him and his advisors more time to find a new club. Reports of interest from Saudi Arabia will not be entertained. Garnacho wants to remain at a top European team. That follows on from the news yesterday, wasn't it? That's saying that that Garnacho would be open to stay in Europe. He wants to stay in the Premier League. The team that are heavily linked with him from the Premier League is Chelsea, so we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. Samuel Lucker said that Manchester United agreed with Garnacho for him not to report to pre-season training last week amid his desire to leave the club. Garnacho almost certainly will not be included in their pre-season tour squad that departs for Chicago next Tuesday. I don't think any of the Freedom Five are going to go on the tour. I think that's clear now. They're back in training. Apparently, Garnacho's been training with Rashford, but they're not part of the first team. They're allowed to use the facilities because they are still contractually Manchester United players, but they're not getting involved in anything to do with the first team as well. So, but yeah, I can't see them going on any of the tours. Can you let me know in the comments? Now, the latest on Antony is that Bayern Leverkusen are negotiating with Manchester United to sign Antony, while Real Betis are keen to bring him back after a successful loan spell. Two other prominent clubs, one from Italy and one from Germany, are also in the race to sign the winger. Now, please, can we do something with Antony? I'm sick of waiting for Betis to try to find money, even though they've signed two players before Antony, and then they can't afford his wages, they can't afford his transfer fee. We know full well that Erik ten Hag loves buying former players as well. So please, can we do a deal and at least present it to Antony to say, here we go, there's the options, this is a deal that we've agreed, and then give him the options of where he wants to go, because ultimately, if he comes back, he might be one I don't necessarily think would be exiled. I think he wants to go himself. Maybe he comes back in the first team, but he's not hardly going to play, not going to play in it. Well, I would suggest he's not going to play very much. And it's World Cup year, and then give them the option. Say, look, here's the choices. Leverkusen, Como, probably the team from Italy, another team from Germany as well. Obviously, it's unnamed in there as well. Because if Betis don't have the money, stop fucking around with them and give him some options and say, right, okay, we've accepted a bid, or we've got this bid on the table from Bayern Leverkusen. Do you want to go there? And give him the choice. It's frustrating for me that we're waiting for Betis that clearly can't afford him and can't afford his wages. It's just infuriating for me personally. I know some of you disagree, and that's fair enough, but yeah, really winding me up, this Antony deal, because if there are clubs interested in him, other clubs, can we not look at these deals, please, and just get some movement going on outgoings, because that's what we need to move on with our lives and the rest of the transfer window as well. But it is what it is. Give us your thoughts and feelings on that, though, in the comments, as I am sure that you will. Let's go to Jadon Sancho. So Juventus are in no rush to finalise a deal for Jadon Sancho. Brilliant. So that's one that could potentially drag on even more. Manchester Evening News are saying reports in Italy have claimed that Jadon Sancho has an agreement in principle with Juventus. Tuttosport have claimed that Man United and the Serie A side remain in talks after Sancho agreed a 4-year deal in Turin worth €5 million per season. The deal includes an option for a further year. Now, that came from Tuttosport. I read it in the Manchester Evening News, which is actually, interesting. It's the first report that we've heard around Sancho agreeing terms with Juventus. We're still yet to receive an official bid, I think, because as the previous report says, Juventus still don't know if they want to go for Sancho yet. But that's the first report I've heard of the terms being agreed, because that's the problem with Sancho. It's the terms and the wages and bits as well. So, that could potentially be a positive if he's agreed personal terms with Juventus. It's just a case of, will Juventus make the move and make like an official bid for Jadon Sancho? Nico was saying that Juventus are ready to offer €15 million to Manchester United to try to sign Jadon Sancho. That was a story that I mentioned yesterday as well from Nico, saying that they're ready to make an offer. So again, this one could be plausible, but it all depends on Juventus and what they decide to do, because they might be getting a deal lined up and they might decide to go somewhere else as well. But we'll wait and see what happens. But and let's go through all the Marcus Rashford stuff. Be loads of talk regarding Rashford over the last 24 hours. So Manchester United are expecting an approach from are expecting an approach from Barcelona for Marcus Rashford. They're working hard behind the scenes on a deal for him. Barcelona have explored the conditions of a deal and have yet to make official contact with United. So that came from Sky, suggesting that Barcelona have explored the conditions of a deal but have not made any official contact with United. So that sounds like they're talking to Rashford and his agent, and his brother, isn't it? His agent. In the next few hours, a key meeting is planned between the Rashford's environment and the Manchester United sports management to specify the formula and the exact amounts to go on the market once and for all. After several days of exercising at the Carrington facilities and already with most European clubs in full pre-season, in the United offices, they understand that it's time to find a way out for Rashford and resolve any internal conflict that evidently does not benefit anyone. Now, that came from Sport. Apologies for the translation in that as well, but suggesting that maybe there's been, or going to be, or has already been, a meeting between United and Rashford and his representatives to actually hash out what we expect from a deal, or what Rashford wants from a deal as well, maybe to present some options and, all of that jazz. But ultimately, yeah, it is what it is. Like, we're no further down the line with the Rashford deal. He's waiting for Barcelona, and we don't yet know if Barcelona are going to make a move for Rashford. That's the reality of the situation. Florian Plettenberg said that FC Barcelona are still targeting Marcus Rashford as revealed. However, Barcelona are currently only considering a loan. Rashford is very open to joining Barca and has already given an initial green light for the move. It now depends on Barca. There is no agreement with Man United yet. Another option for Barcelona is Christopher Nkunku. So Barca might now be fourth choice for Barcelona, Rashford, but it does feel like if Barca do make a move, they're going to go for a loan. I think, reading between the lines, I think Barcelona are looking for somebody permanently to bring in, and then they're going to go for a loan with Rashford, because then they can push that deal to next summer, and then they can sign someone permanently and then do a deal for Rashford maybe for next summer. Or even an option to buy where they don't actually have to buy him. I don't know why Rashford's waiting around for another loan move with an option to buy. I'd hope an obligation to buy at minimum for Rashford if we are going to do a loan for him this season. But I think that's how Barcelona will play it. I think that they're going to go for somebody else, because we know they bid already for Williams. They're interested in Diaz, according to Florian Plettenberg, potentially Christopher Nkunku. Get someone in permanently and then do a loan for Rashford. That's how I can see Barcelona's minds working regarding this. But obviously, if they don't go for, maybe he is going to be, if they don't get Nkunku or they can't get Diaz done, maybe they do move for him. But, it's a messy situation, isn't it? Now, Fabrizio Romano said, though, on whether he expects Rashford to leave, said, yeah, he is going. It is not going to change, basically because Rashford got a clear message from club, from the management, from the staff, from Ruben Amorim. They don't trust him. They don't want him as part of the squad. So Rashford accepted this decision, and now he's waiting to move on to have a new opportunity elsewhere. So that was interesting from Fabrizio Romano, saying that they don't trust him and they don't want him to be part of the squad. Also, Peter Hall said that Rashford trained alone in isolation this week at United's Carrington training base, despite being told not to report back. It is understood there is no animosity towards United from Rashford, despite him being stripped of his number 10 shirt while still being contracted, and he would be willing to be reintegrated into the group, including for the pre-season tour, if Amorim sanctions such a move. But as we heard from Romano, not going to happen by the sounds of things. And Romano also said, I am still told Barcelona, as of Sunday, have still not decided what they want to do with the winger. Rashford is an option. He wants to go to Barca, but Man United have not received any bid or any official contact from Barca. So that's same as what Sky was saying as well. So I think they're in contact. It's more agent to agent, maybe, or Rashford speaking to Barcelona, but we've not had any official contact from Barcelona regarding Marcus Rashford. So, yeah, let's move on. In terms of the Freedom 5, as named by yourselves in the comments, there is interest in all of them to different degrees, but clubs are expected to wait to make formal bids in the hope that the prices plunge as the September 1st deadline approaches. So Laurie Whitwell saying that, look, there's interest in these players. I think he did mention Garnacho with Chelsea, Rashford in Barcelona, Antony and Betis. Malasia's got option, he did say as well. I think Celtic have been linked with him. So, and Sancho with Juventus. They're the links with the Freedom 5 that we're obviously looking to sell on. But he's right in what he's saying. Longer teams leave it, the better it is for themselves, because they know that we're desperate to sell, and the more desperate we become, the more the value drops. They know the full well that we've aired all our dirty laundry with these players in public, so we're not in a strong position, I don't think, when it comes to negotiating for exits with these players, because everybody knows we need money and we don't want these players, and that's the reality of the situation, and that's what happens, I think, when you make all this public and like I said, air it all in public as well. But that's the reality of the situation, and we'll just have to wait and see and just hope we can get some movements, because surely the players want to move on and actually play football as well, So, but we'll see what happens. And let's go for the keeper news. So Radek Vitek is set to travel with the team and is set to start in their first game of the tour in New Jersey on the 27th of July with Onana out. So that's interesting from Peter Hall, saying that Vitek set to travel with the team and also start in the first game against Leeds. Got to get their game this weekend as well. I'm excited to finally watch some football. A bit of a distraction anyway, so it's going to be interesting to see. I think that'll give us a bit more of a sign around where we're going in the, what positions we maybe need to strengthen as well, although it is only pre-season, but it'd still be nice to watch and see the team progressing with what Amorim's been doing so far in pre-season. So that's going to be really interesting. But interesting as well that Vitek could potentially start. So I like the idea of giving him the pre-season games or some minutes in the pre-season, see what he's about, and then make a decision on the goalkeeper. Do we then, if we don't think that he's quite ready, do a loan for him, sell Bayindir, bring in a replacement, or do we keep Bayindir? Who knows? But I like the idea of doing that. On Bayindir, Altay Bayindir's agent has been at Carrington this week for talks regarding his client's future at Manchester United. So by all accounts, there have been a few talks between United and some players this week. We heard the other day that Onana's been in talks and Rashford. So maybe some of the agents are coming in, sitting down, deciding what to do, what we're expecting from their clients. And then maybe we'll see some movement on a few of the fringe players as well as the main ones that we know we're looking to sell. But we'll have to keep an eye and see how that progresses. In terms of overall, if Manchester United does not move for a new stopper, sources say they will target younger, more inexperienced options to provide cover as number 2 for Onana. Should one of their prime targets like Martinez become available for the right price, there will be a change of track, but Villa are understood to value their Argentine goalkeeper way higher than United do, so any transfer is a long way off completion. So Peter Hall's saying pretty much what we've been saying the last couple of weeks as well regarding the goalkeepers. It looks like, looking for a younger, inexperienced goalkeeper to come in as a backup to Onana, but maybe they would pivot if someone becomes available or if Martinez becomes a little bit cheaper. But then the problem with that is they're stuck with Onana anyway because he's now injured. Yeah, we'll have to see how that one plays out. But give us your thoughts on that in the comments below. And then finally, Godwill Kokonki is set to sign a professional contract with United. The youngster is highly rated and will now try to make his first team debut. That came from Steve Railston, who's a good source for the Manchester Evening News when it comes to United, like youth and young players and stuff as well, saying Kokonki is set to sign his first professional contract. That's good. He's one of the young players that actually has been, that Amram's eyed straight away, straight in the first team training, yet to make his obviously appearance, but he's been training in and around the first team as well. So clearly a player that Ruben Amram rates, just needs to obviously get a little bit more experience and stuff as well. But yeah, we will wait and see what happens there. Just checking to see if there's any other news. So Darren Fletcher, by all accounts, has now been announced as Manchester United's under-18 coach. That's a good move for him, but that's not exactly breaking news. We've been talking about that, or that's been reported in the last few days as well. So that's interesting. And Foot McCarter was saying French striker Jean-Philippe Mateta and his representatives met with Liverpool in Paris in the last few days. So that could be another striker off the agenda then if Liverpool are looking to maybe make a move for Mateta. That's interesting. I'll bring you any updates on that as they develop over the next 24 hours. But give us your thoughts and feelings on that in the comments. Give us your thoughts on everything else mentioned in today's video. That's you all up to date with the latest news and transfer updates. Smash a like on the video on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. See you in the next one.